Morgan Stanley's James Gorman planning to step down as CEO and assume an executive chairman role in the next 12 months. We've been talking during the break, guys, about sort of the strategic changes he brought, but also some generational change here in financials.
You know, I think that James Gorman will be known as the man who said, we're not going to get in trouble with the government anymore. We're going to run a different kind of company. We're going to run an advisory company. And we're doing this in part because it's more lucrative and in part because we are not going to have the episodic up and down earnings that we've seen from other firms, David, including Goldman Sachs.
And it has gone very well under Mr. Gorman's leadership. There's no doubt about it. When you take a look at the performance of the stock versus Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley gets a higher multiple, even though it has slightly less in terms of overall profits. Thought we'd take a look there. That kind of puts it in perspective, doesn't it? It is large deals, of course, whether it was E-Trade or Eaton Vance.
Yes.
But the continued focus on wealth management. And again, Gorman's not going anywhere for a while. Will step up, it seems, to executive chair. Will be 65 years old.
A young 65 kid.
And announced this, this was the plan at the company's annual meeting. For some time, they've been setting up sort of potential successors. Ted Pick, Andy Saperstein, certainly two of the names that many have heard. We'll see. But a change in leadership appears to be coming within, let's call it, the next year or so, at a firm that is applauded for the way it's been run under Mr. Gorman, and that change to a certain extent in strategy that you discussed, Jim.
Well, look, when the brokers got in trouble, and of course we're speaking about Washington, James said, this isn't going to be what's going to happen to us. We're going to cut some businesses that others think are terrific and that have been historic to us. Because we're not going to be a company that is called down to Washington. And it succeeded. His company had far fewer incidences, and I think he changed the focus of the way Wall Street should be done, brought Morgan Stanley, interestingly, far more back to the way the old J.P. Morgan was run pre-Glass-Steagall, the split, which was, okay, listen, we're going to advise the wealthiest, the big companies. We're going to become the trusted team to go to. And he also did something very interesting. He went with younger, too. And you can see that in the ads.
Yeah.
He kind of decided, we're going to get him early. This is the opposite of what Goldman did. Goldman kind of was high net worth and then went down to people who I would regard as never would have walked into Goldman. Morgan Stanley decided to go after people. For instance, he made an acquisition to work on getting people who are IPO companies.
Right.
It's brilliant.
Right.
The people who got stock right from the beginning. Wow. Go.
Yeah.
Meantime, Jim, obviously also the tip of the spear on some cultural issues. Return to work comes to mind, and the move to trim some banker headcount around the world.
Took the hit before he let his successor have to deal with it. I've come quite. This is a big position for Travel Trust. We've come quite close to him. He was on. I think he was on last on our show, and there's a quality about this man that has been sorely lacking on Wall Street. Humility. When you speak to him, he has not forgotten that he did not come from wealth. He's not forgotten that it's blessed to have his job. He's pure joy. And I say that because most aren't. And he changed. Look, I applied to a job at Morgan Stanley. I got a job at Morgan Stanley in 1982.
You didn't get a job at Morgan Stanley.
I did.
You did? But you got an offer.
You didn't
I got an
take
offer.
it.
I got an offer.
All right.
And I thought it was, candidly, too snooty. Now I look at the two and I think, snooty? Well, that's certainly not a word that comes to mind of Morgan Stanley.
But by the way, it's not as though they still don't do important business in fixed income, currency, and commodities. And there are always setbacks. I mean, they were not in the Kenvue IPO last week. Very surprising. Right. Very surprising.
They were in the Twitter.
Yes, they're still. They're still. I think they're still sitting on a good amount of commitment there to the $13 billion that was raised from any number of banks.
Although he said to me, "Don't worry about it." When I interviewed.
They have said consistently, "Do not worry about it."
He mentioned the Princess Bride.
By the way, if you're just catching up on the news, this is what Gorman said at the meeting. Take a listen.
The specific timing of the CEO transition has not been determined, but it is the board's and my expectation that it will occur at some point in the next 12 months. That is the current expectation in the absence of a major change in the external environment.
And now we got the JPM Investor Day on Monday, and we'll see whether or not
oh, no.
there's discussion
By
about
the way, real quick,
I don't want that to happen.
Although he did hold out major change in the external environment, meaning if things were to get crazy again or there was to be a crisis, most likely you keep the old guy in.
Right.
Sorry, Jamie, never what? Never going to...
I happen to... I've gotten very old school and avuncular in my my age. I don't want Jamie to go. I think Jamie's doing a damn good job.
It's like you're going to be the last...
What does it matter?
You're going to be the oldest man in every room you go into.
Right. Stop it.
Sorry.
You can imagine, like, I never thought I would say it, but...
That's how I feel about you.
Can we have a real... He happens to be a real banker. I've been there when he's opened branches, okay?
Yes, not too long ago.
And I filmed him last time, and unfortunately, Jamie's often given to words that... I guess he got like Michael Rubin in Philadelphia. When you're in Philadelphia, maybe you speak like Rocky or something. But I couldn't use most of his opening statements. But he's the local guy. He's a local banker who also is in Washington and is a great statesperson. And I like him.
Yeah, no, listen. But
he
if Gorman...
he throws it in
and
incredible
grew up in Queens.
And he throws it in great fastball.
Yeah, no, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was out of line with that.
Yeah, you were. But also a Queens boy like me. But meanwhile, he will be the last. I mean, if Gorman does step down, let's call it within the next year, and Jamie is still in that role, he will by far be he is already the longest serving of all the major financial services company CEOs and will continue most likely to be.